There's been a lot happening in VR this week, like game delays, Nintendo's new VR headset, and Mark Zuckerberg's new streaming career. So today, we're going to chat about it and everything that's happened this week in VR. But first, it's been a really big month for VR with so many releases. Like we have the release of the Meta Quest 3S and some really big games including the Arizona Sunshine remake, Allo Moves, Just Dance VR, Batman Arkham Shadow, and even more lined up for November. I've been mostly spending my time playing Metal Hellsinger, which is like a rhythm VR FPS game, which is so much fun and recommend if you like metal music. I've also been playing a crazy little indie game called Innkeeper, where you have to run a tavern and make the beer and food from scratch. I've been really enjoying it. There's been so many games coming out lately, so let me know in the comments what games you've been playing and enjoying so you can help other people find some good games. But into the news, I think the first bit of really interesting news is that Nintendo has filed a patent for a VR headset. Now, there's been rumors floating around for a long time about a Nintendo VR headset, and I always dismissed it as kind of like wishful thinking. But this time it feels a little bit more legitimate. Their recent patent showcases a goggle-like apparatus with a virtual camera and UI in a virtual space. There's also patents for a touchscreen controller, which could coincide with a potential VR headset. But look, don't get your hopes up. Companies file hundreds of patents all of the time. So it could mean nothing, or it could mean something. But at least it shows that Nintendo is exploring VR in some regard, which is always a positive in my eyes. But you know which VR rumors ended up being true? Apple. You know that expensive VR headset that no one uses? Well, something cool they have done is release an Apple Vision Pro exclusive movie called Submerged. It's set in a World War II submarine and it's the first scripted film in Apple immersive video. I think it's cool that Apple are investing in things like this for the headset, and responses to the film seem pretty positive online. But alas, I don't have a spare $6,000 AUD to buy an Apple Vision Pro. I have been kind of tempted lately to sell a kidney so I can get one. So let me know if you think I should. Sell a kidney, that is. Now, on the topic of neglected VR headsets, does PlayStation hate VR? I mean, obviously they don't, but they definitely act like they forget they have a VR headset sometimes. There was a lot of upset over on Twitter when PlayStation tweeted out their monthly game releases and not a single mention of any PlayStation VR game. And there's quite a few decent games out this month, like Max Mustard, Metal Hellsinger, Arizona Sunshine Remake, Starship Troopers Continuum, and Wanderer the Fragments of... Oh, wait a minute. Sad news, everyone. Wanderer Fragments of Fate has been delayed. Again. Now, this is always a really tough time for developers, and no dev wants to delay a game. But no gamer wants to play an unfinished game either. I played the Steam version of this game, and it's great and visually stunning. And they've taken on a pretty big task of reimagining this game for the Quest, and so far it looks pretty impressive. So as disappointing as delays can be, this is definitely one to keep an eye on. We have a few more game delays as well. Unfortunately, Laser Dance has been delayed until 2025. This game is like a Mission Impossible mixed reality game where you have to dodge lasers in your living room. This game is made by the creator of Cubism, and he is a solo developer, so he's doing this all himself. He shares that he originally started making the game for the Quest 2, and with the new hardware upgrades and APIs used for development, the game has become a lot more challenging to make. I absolutely love the concept of this game and will happily wait until 2025 to play it. There's also another game that's been delayed, but I can't publicly confirm it. But I'm sure we will all hear about it soon. And to be honest, I think we should be encouraging game developers and publishers to delay games when they should. Like, look at the recent release of Hitman on the Quest. That did not go down well. And I was so looking forward to that game. And it's so disappointing to see it not up to scratch. And while I understand it can be really hard for developers, some people on Reddit are asking for the developers to be boycotted. A Reddit user is asking for people to not support XR games and any of their upcoming projects until they fix Hitman. Which, to be honest, I can understand if it's frustrating if your game is not running correctly, but boycotting developers is not the way to go. Because a lot of the time, it's not even their fault. Especially for a PC game, they've just kind of got to deal with what they're given, and they can only make the best of the situation that they can. And sometimes they have publishers breathing down their neck saying, release it right now or you're fired. So it's important to understand that so much goes on behind the scenes of the development of these games, but also as consumers, we should expect a level of quality as well. The moral of the story is that game delays equals better games, and we should support that. In other game announcements though, we now have official gameplay trailer for Orion Drift. And if you're not familiar with the game, it's the next game from the creators of Gorilla Tag. You know, Gorilla Tag, right? Like that free game with screaming kids that's made over $100 million in revenue. Well, Orion Drift is kind of like a spiritual successor of Echo Arena. And if you're not familiar with Echo Arena, it was a popular battle arena game in the OG days of VR that got brutally shot down. And Kirstel, the creator of Gorilla Tag, used to work on Echo Arena. So I guess he's bringing it back in his own way. And some interesting aspects of the game is that it's going to have lobbies of up to 200 people, which is pretty insane. And it's kind of like a space/Rocket League type game that focuses on the competitive competitive aspect. Also, does anyone find it weird that they called it Orion Drift when Meta's AR glasses are called Orion as well? Like, is this done on purpose or is it just a weird coincidence? And will we see Meta issuing a cease and desist notice? I sure hope not. And speaking of Meta, Mark Zuckerberg wants to get into Twitch streaming? In a recent interview with Puberty, he talks about his love for Civilization, and apparently he has over 1,000 hours in the game. He mentioned he wants to do a Twitch stream of him playing with someone because he's pretty convinced that he's close to Grandmaster status, and would be surprised if anyone in the world could beat him. I mean, maybe Zuckerberg getting into streaming may be part of his like cool guy rebrand thing he's got going on. And to be honest, I'm just impressed that he has time to play video games, let alone hip Grandmaster. And speaking of games with over 1,000 hours, Beat Saber has a new music pack. That's right, it's Britney, bitch. The new Britney Spears DLC includes some pretty iconic songs, and sadly, I have not had the time to play it. I'm currently building out a new studio and reviewing a couple of new VR headsets, so my life is currently in chaos. But I'll be dying to check it out because this music pack looks really fun. You know what also looks really fun? Playing Beat Saber with a pencil. Logitech recently released their MR Stylist, which is officially designed for the Meta Quest, and this is designed for your art type games or 3D modeling and works natively with the headset. And it turns out it works just like a controller, and you can pair it with different games. And LS Toast did just that, and of course played some Beat Saber with it. And this looks so much fun. I can't wait to give it a go. It's a new spin on playing Beat Saber. I was very fortunate to get my hands on one of these, and I'm dying to check it out, and I'd really love to try out some art games with this thing. If you like playing your favorite VR games in new and interesting ways, well, you can play Walkabout Mini Golf on your phone. Walkabout Mini Golf has released an official iPhone game, and you can buy the game for $4.99, has a full single player mode with the classic 8 courses in the main game, and it also has cross-play to any VR headset, which is a really cool feature. Surprisingly, it's already in the charts as one of the most popular paid games on the App Store, which is really cool to see for a VR game. But do you think this will be a trend that other VR game developers will follow? Like, will we see a Gorilla Tag iPhone game? And I may be really behind the times here, but I did not know that you could play Horizon worlds on your phone, like the actual world. Like, you can jump into any of the worlds directly from the Meta Horizon app. And it's definitely not my favorite way to play, but still a really interesting move by Meta. And more I'm starting to take Horizon worlds a bit more seriously. Like, they seem to be investing so much money into the platform, it has to end up being decent eventually, right? They did recently add a feature where you can create a Horizon avatar from a selfie in the phone app, and it does a pretty decent job, even though I tried to trick it. They've also recently released an official The Office world in Horizon Worlds, which at first I was a bit like meh about, but I got to try it at MetaConnect, and it's actually pretty fun. You get to play a bunch of mini games, and playing parkour while having Michael Scott yell at you is very nostalgic and fun. So if you're an Office fan, you might like this world. And in the last bit of news, Magain X has unveiled their Superlight AK headset in Japan. It's a PC VR headset with micro OLED panels. It also supposedly weighs only 185 grams and has a neat fold-up visor. And this does look pretty saucy. If you want to know more about it, the Mixed Reality TV has a bunch of coverage over on this Twitter, but it's just really cool to see how lightweight and small all these PC VR headsets are getting. But don't get your hopes up too much about this headset. Shiftdoor, the creator of this headset, have had a bad track record. This company has announced 2 headsets in the past and never actually released them. To be fair, the company has been sold off during development. I think it's great to see other competitors in the market, but it still does encourage a lot of faith in the company. That pretty much sums up this week in VR, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you want to see more of them, and I'll see you next time. Bye!